Live, worldwide, feel the beat, feel the vibe. Amazing host leading the ride. Power to the people, we shine. Giving fans what they need. Caribbean spirit, let's succeed. Every show with a good deed. Together we plant the seed. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride is sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Promoter Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Promoter Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit Beacon.
Yeah! Right along live, welcome to the ride. It is Wednesday on the ride. Yeah. Wednesday on the ride, man. You see, this is the real life of a roaming TV host, right? So let me tell you guys something about 5 minutes ago. I was on the road coming to Granny Tang, right? And racing to get here because, as you know, we have a date every day, 6 p.m. And oftentimes, guys, especially me being in Grenada for this past couple weeks, people don't take the situation as urgent as I do, right? Because I have to get somewhere for 6 o'clock. Oftentimes, you see people, stopping and scrolling and talking to their friends, and I'm like, yo, move there, man, move. As I say, move there. You're blocking the way. So I try to rush, I try to rush to get here. Today was no exception, like yesterday, like day before. People are just doing their own thing, man. Just having their own little conversation. So when I get here, guys, it's a straight rush. See, all my shirt collar wasn't fixed. Yeah. All my shirt collar wasn't fixed. Because why? I am rushing to get here because we have a date. But as always, I'm happy to be here, guys. Thank you, guys. Listen, Lord have his mercy. Right Along Live, guys, have just hit the 15 million viewership mark, which means that we are doing something right. A lot of you guys are have been following us when we were just about 5 or 10, and then 15 or 20. We started to grow in viewership. Now today, this last month, we were able to reach over 15 million viewers. Yeah, and you know that needs a round of applause. Yeah. That needs a round of applause. Absolutely. And you guys made it possible. You guys made it happen. And we thank you guys so much. Yeah. You guys need all the round of applause and thank you and congratulations. You made us number one, right? Consistency. So today, guys, we're going to be speaking about the recently concluded Trinidad and Tobago general election. In case you've been hiding under a rock, you would know that the UNC, led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar, now the new administration there, Prime Minister-elect, I think she probably already got the nod and already in there, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, taking over from the PNM, Stuart Young, and we all knew, we found out where we knew what happened. The former Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, he resigned just a little bit before the general election. A lot of questions about that we'll talk about. So today we're going to be speaking with a friend of mine. This guy has been very involved in politics, and I didn't realize that he is so much politically driven until this particular campaign. Stocks Grime is someone that a vlogger, influencer, say a friend from Trinidad and Tobago, and he is a big supporter of the UNC, right? So let's put it all into perspective and find out more about the big victory. The big victory, 2025. Help me introduce, guys. Stocks, very often controversial.
Mr. George,
Hey, boy.
let me just say it's a pleasure being here. As you can see how big my smile is right now. You understand? Trinidad and Tobago is at peace. The blight have been lifted. And we are ready to move forward with the Honorable Miss Kamla Persad-Bissessar. The crime rate is going to drop. Everything is looking good for Trinidad and Tobago right now as we speak.
Right. Let's start it off there, Stocks, because it's very important, because we all know about what's been happening in Trinidad over the past years. We've seen a spike in the crime rate.
Yes.
We've seen a state of emergency a number of times. How will the crime rate drop? What's the plans to decrease the crime rate under the new administration?
Well, you see, the plans, we have the plans already. Yeah. The plan is to create more jobs. Anytime you have a society where there's no job for young people, this is the type of thing that take place. You find the youths on the street smoking weed, doing illegal stuff because they are not busy, they're not occupied. And the PNM government, they never did anything for the youths and the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. And to show that they did nothing, why would you wait till the crime rate break record before you were to call a state of emergency? If you see the crime rate is going on a certain road, why would you wait till it reached a certain target, to reach a certain amount of deaths for you to call a state of emergency? Didn't you see that from a year ago or 5 years ago? Because they have been in power for the last 9 years. And every year that passed by, the crime rate keep going higher and higher and higher. Why so many people had was to die for them to come about with a serious crime plan, for them to see that the youths are not occupied. There is no programs. Even if there's programs, when they finish these programs, there's nothing for them. There's no jobs. There's nothing to go nowhere in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. You know, the crime rate in particular and the state of emergency is not something new. In fact, 10 years ago, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar was prime minister in Trinidad and Tobago, they were also a state of emergency.
That's right.
What's the difference then and now?
Well, the difference then and now, the crime rate actually did drop. And a lot of people were locked up in the process. We have a prime minister and we have a commissioner of police. During the course of the state of emergency, the last person we expecting to get locked up or was under investigation for illegal firearm was the commissioner of police. When we expecting to be locking up gangsters holding guns, doing drugs at the side of the road, just doing illegal activities. We're not expecting that the elected commissioner of police was the first person to be involved in some illegal rifle coming into the country without permission.
Right. Now, you said that there's a major difference.
Yes.
In any kind of state of emergency, what we saw then, and I believe what we probably see now, during that period of state of emergency,
Yes.
you would of course find that period there might be a drop in crime because there is intense scrutiny on a particular area, and then as soon as that is lifted, because we can't all live in a forever state of emergency, that would have to be lifted, and then the crime would escalate again. So did it work then, and do you believe that it worked now? And I'm trying to understand the difference of.
Well, let me explain. Let me explain to you the history between the PNM and the UNC. Now, any fair person who have been following politics over the years will tell you, every time the PNM is in power, the crime rate always managed to increase, and every time the UNC is in power, the crime rate always decrease. Even when Pandey, the former leader of the UNC, the United National Congress, when he was in power, the crime rate was, the highest crime rate was 108 under his leadership. Yeah? Then PNM come in power, the crime rate start dropping from 100 to 300 and 400. Then Kamala take office, the UNC again, the crime rate start back to drop from the 500 and all these different things, start back to drop to 300 and something, 400 and something. Then PNM come back in office again under leadership of Dr. Keith Rowley. The crime rate start back to increase from 500 to 640, and it goes on and on and on. So there's a big difference, yeah? And every time PNM is in power, they get 9 years. When UNC in power, they get 5 years, yeah? And they managed to do so much in 5 years other than the PNM have done in the last 9 years.
Okay, let's talk about the achievements, right?
Yes.
Of your leader, of the leader, the newly minted prime minister, female prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad-Bissessar. What do you say is and was her greatest achievement in her last administration, Kamala 1.0?
Well, her greatest achievement was putting things in place for poor people, because we had a government that was more focusing on the rich. The former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, he said he's going to make the rich richer, and then the rich is going to help the poor. George, think about it. If you are a Prime Minister, would you make statements like that? You're going to make the rich richer, and then the rich is going to help the poor. On all fairness, do you think that is possible?
Oftentimes, it doesn't trickle down, and I agree. I admit they have some trend of thought, political trend of thought. I heard that even in the U.S. they had that ideology that if you give tax breaks to the rich, then it's going to trickle down into the marginal and middle class. But I know that doesn't work, because when rich people have money, they want more money, and that's obvious. That's a political trend of thought that I saw, even tried and failed before. So I know for a fact, based on what my experience, that does not work.
Now, let me tell you some of the things that Kamala did for poor people that we all should be grateful for. Number one, in 5 years, Kamala built 106 schools. In 5 years. Just think about it, 106 schools. She also had planned for every newborn baby. Every newborn baby was getting $500 a month. That had been cut out by the Rowley government. Then we had laptop for every standard 1 student was getting laptop. The PNM government, they removed it. Yeah? So these are some of the programs that Kamala had put in place to to assist poor people. The prices of groceries, the prices of gas, everything was low to the white line on the road. As soon as Rowley take office, everything changes.
But was it a referendum on Rowley's leadership or the atmosphere that we live in? Remember, we have a war in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and all the wheat and flour and all that stuff came from Ukraine.
No,
So of course, that's going to elevate the cost of that.
no, I understand what you are saying. But when you have a party that have a history of suffering the people, we cannot use that as an excuse. Yeah? Because for in the first 5 years, they make up so many excuses. Say the treasury empty, there's no money to do this. How could a prime minister that keep advertising that treasury has no money, but before he retire, 2 months before he retire, he raised his pay? Is that good sportsmanship? You are telling people to band their belly, to tighten their belt, but you raise your pay 2 months before you step down. These are all lies, as mama guys. Yeah?
Right.
$3 billion gone missing out of the blues. Nobody know where gone. Cannot be accounted for.
What about Petrotrin? Because I heard the Prime Minister now saying about reopening Petrotrin and making the move in that direction. I know during the PNM that was tampered down a whole lot. Petrotrin was closed. Do you think now is the time, and do you think that anything could be done to revive Petrotrin to make it profitable again, based on what the new Prime Minister is attempting to do in a new administration?
Well, the UNC have always managed to bring change to Trinidad and Tobago. Even when the PNM bring doubts, the UNC have always managed to create opportunities and to keep the promises. Now, for example, the UNC have created 55,000 jobs in the 5 years that have been in government. The PNM said that was impossible, and they did. When PNM take back office now, we lost 60,000 jobs. And then now we had an infection of illegal immigrants coming in the country, such as the Venezuelans. They even registered 40,000 of them, and the rest of them this lingering all over the place. Now, when it comes to Petrotrin, the reason why Petrotrin closed down in the first place, we have to go back into the history of Petrotrin. Now, the history of the UNC and the PNM. The UNC have only managed to govern this country for 10 years. The PNM, on the other hand, now have managed Trinidad and Tobago for 50 years. That shows to say that the PNM have been bad spending, borrowing money from the Petrotrin sector to do all different type of dirty work that they're not supposed to be doing. And it reached to a point now where Petrotrin was bankrupt. The Petrotrin was bankrupt, so they had no other choice than to close it down. But then they wanted to blame the UNC. They wanted to blame the UNC for Petrotrin being closed down. But they have been there for the last 50 years operating Petrotrin. And they're coming to the population and telling us that it's because of the UNC Petrotrin is being closed down today. But yet still, nobody's been locked up. Who is responsible? Where is the money going? Because we can't have a prime minister keep blaming people and then nobody is being locked up. They say Kamala emptied the treasury. Why isn't Kamala in jail today? Why isn't Kamala in jail today? Where is the money that they claim that Kamala stole from the treasury?
Right. But here is what every administration, and I know you not campaigning, you're not the prime minister, you're a big supporter, but you know of the referendum, you know of, I mean, not the referendum, you know of what the plans are. That's why I'm posing those questions to you. I would love to have a chance to speak to the prime minister, minister at any point in time so we could go through this, but you have this information. Now, what is the plan, right, to accelerate this economy in this particular time when we have the uncertainty, we have the US teetering on a recession, we have all of these things happening, we still have that uncertainty out in Ukraine and Russia, all of these things, wheat is still a problem, all of these uncertainties. How do you think that the prime minister, what's her plans to accelerate growth in the economy in this shaky times?
Well, our number one plan is to get Petrotrin up and running. Now, Petrotrin is our biggest asset in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, the PNM government was willing to sell it to an outsider, but Ms. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, she doesn't want that. She is willing to have Petrotrin do what it needs to be done to be up and running in Trinidad and Tobago once again. Yeah, and I have a list here of some of the plans that Kamala plans to bring forward to bring growth and to bring health to our economy. Now, we have a price problem in Trinidad and Tobago. Everything is becoming so expensive. Yeah?
Why?
So
Why?
expensive.
Not to take you out of your train of thought, but why?
Why is it expensive?
Yeah, why things have gone so expensive from your perspective?
No, it all leads back to Petrotrin. As I said, Petrotrin is our natural our main resource. Remember, we don't campaign like we don't do like Grenada where we can depend on tourism or Jamaica or Barbados. We don't depend on tourism. We have no tourism in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? Petrotrin was our bread and butter, basically. And when we have a government that shut down Petrotrin in a time like this, where we needed the most, I think the solution to solve most of our problems today is to have Petrotrin up and running again. And not by an outsider.
You think it will be profitable again?
Yes, it will be profitable. Yeah?
Okay.
And for some years, we have been the enemy of the United States of America and NATO. Now that we have a new government in power, things is going to change. We are going to be working closer with the US. Well, they are going to be working closer with the US, and we are going to have a closer relationship. You understand? We're not going to be what the past government have done to make enemies with doing business with the enemies such as Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela. You know, these are things that had us in this problem today. Because when Trump did warn the government of Trinidad and Tobago not to do business with Venezuela, they still went behind their back and they did that. So these are some of the reasons why we are in a mess today.
Right. Venezuela and immigration, because I think that this administration, the UNC administration, Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration, has a similar mandate, is in a similar position like Donald Trump in some instances. Because one, Donald Trump has gone out on a limb and talked about mass deportation and getting those, he spoke about the people that's in the US that's undocumented and sending them back and a whole set of stuff. Now, Trinidad and Tobago accepted a whole heap of Venezuelan migrants, right?
40,000 plus.
Right, 40,000 plus. Okay.
Yeah.
They was accepted. They was given a particular time because of we all understood what was happening in Venezuela. What's the position of the administration for this 40,000 plus people that's there? What's the plans?
Well, the time was up a long time ago, George.
Yeah,
but
I know.
They extended the time.
Yes.
Now, how could you register 40,000 illegal immigrants? No way for them to stay, no jobs for them. You just had them roaming through the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, there are so many abandoned big agency, government houses, government schools abandoned all over Trinidad and Tobago. You bring 40,000 people here, you register them, and you just left them to walk away walk in the free world. Now, crime popping up every day with these people. Now, nothing wrong with helping our neighbors in times of need, but you have to have a system in place to help these people. Now, you can't even create jobs for your own people. You didn't manage to create 50,000 jobs for your own people. We lost 60,000 jobs when PNM take office. And now that these illegal people come here, it's even harder for the Trinidadians to maintain and to keep a job. Because a lot of people will say that we're lazy. But how could we be lazy when our boss is telling us the Venezuelans are working for 5 times less? So we have to stoop to their level. Our minimum wage is $23 something, and they have these Venezuelans working for $10 and down per hour. So why should we, born citizens of this country, have to stoop to their level just because of what? Yeah, and they're always using the quote unquote, we are lazy. That just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Let me say this. I should have said it at the top. Stocks doesn't have a government portfolio. He is a big supporter of the UNC. I've seen him on the platform speaking on that. I'm not sure if he's an official spokesperson, but I know that you are very, 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 very close to the inner circle, inner working of the UNC.
But Jerry,
Junior,
let me tell you something. The PNM government said they're not closing down Petrotrin.
Right.
They said that on a public platform. As soon as they take office, exactly what they said they're not going to do, they did the exact same thing. They also said they're not bringing back property tax. They say Kamala was going to bring property tax. Don't vote for Kamala because she's going to bring property tax. As soon as Rowley take office, they implemented property tax. They keep lying to the population, and there's proof for it all over.
Right. Right. I want to go back to the Venezuelan thing. Right. I want to go back to the Venezuelan because when you spoke there, I could have swear you were speaking from the perspective of the US and the current administration. It seems similar because we're talking about deporting the people. There are a lot of people who is right now in the United States that are undocumented. There are a lot of people who were on that came in as students and now they go into the DACA. They have problems in getting the papers that would be order deported. There are a lot of people who are there who didn't have a green card. In some instances, they commit a crime and they're deported. So it sounds very similar. And a lot of the people in the United States right now that are in this thing is us Caribbean people. So do you share and understand? Is the PNM, sorry, the UNC share and understand or closer ties and affiliation with the Trump administration and what they want to do?
No, the UNC believe in system. Yeah. If it's that we make up our mind to bring illegal immigrants here, we have to have a system in place for them. As much as America doesn't want illegal immigrants in the country, the government have a system for them. So when they bring them, they put them in hotels, they do certain things with them. When the government of Trinidad and Tobago bring these illegal immigrants here, they just register them and they send them out in the free world. Tell me if that's making sense. That's 40,000 people in a country where only have 1.5 million people. That is every corner you go to, you're only hearing people speaking Spanish. Every corner you go to in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? That is unbearable. And the PNM have a long history of not creating jobs. Let me tell you something, Jerry.
What hold on. It's Junior.
Sorry. Junior.
Yes, thank you.
Junior,
yes.
Let me show you how terrible the PNM is. Now, when it comes to the infection of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, every PNM area in Trinidad and Tobago is the areas that are highly infected by crime. Now, let me get down to it. The PNM have governed this country more than any political party in this country. We have the UNC who see power twice. We have the NAR who see power once. And then we have the PNM who have been there for 50-something years. Right? So therefore, in all fairness, the PNM constituency is supposed to be living a better life than any areas in Trinidad and Tobago. Let us be fair. Let us be for real. Yeah? But in this instance, the longer PNM take office, is the more PNM areas suffer. Is the more crime rate becomes higher in these communities. Yeah? I can call some of the areas for you that PNM controls, and they still controls today. And no matter what, these people keep voting back for the PNM.
Okay. What are some of the areas?
Let me say Arima, let me say Mova, Lavantil, Carenage, Diego Martin. Even the Prime Minister's area have a very high crime rate. Diego Martin, one of the highest crime rate in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, Miss Kamla Persad-Bissessar, her area, she maintains crime in her area. You understand? She works with her people. How could you let crime escalate in the areas where people voting for you every election? There's no safety. Mothers and fathers are frightened to send their children in these communities. Now, Junior, let me say I am from Saparia.
Right.
Yeah? And I asked my mother, Mommy, I want to go in Carenage. Now, that's a PNM area. My mother would never send me there. Even a PNM personnel would not send their children in PNM areas. But they keep voting for the government every time. If I live in a PNM area and ask my mother to go in Diego Martin, or to go in Carenage, or to go Pinto Road Arima, they would not send me. They would not send me because there's a possibility that something could happen. It's either you get robbed, you get stabbed, you get bullied, or you just never make it back home. And that's a reality. So why should we continue to vote for this PNM government when them can't even protect their own people?
Right. Right.
Now the UNC areas are much safer. It is 70% safe. Now everywhere is crime. Let me be real. Everywhere is crime. But in UNC areas, it's 70% safer.
Okay. You know, you said something earlier when I asked about the what would decrease crime, and you said, well, you know, open a petrol train and send people to work, right?
Yes.
But we're seeing a lot of gang related crimes
Yeah.
where we have gang violence, and that is kind of cancerous within the community.
Yeah.
How do you think that these members of the gang would stop their gang activities to work?
Now,
Or
first
how
thing
do they
first,
deal with that gang situation?
Junior.
Uh-huh.
We may think that we have poverty in Trinidad and Tobago, but we don't have poverty. If some people were to pick up themselves and travel to a different world and experience what is truly poverty, we will count ourselves blessed in this country, and we can do way better. We can achieve a lot more. Yeah. Now, even the baddest areas in Trinidad and Tobago, I would say there is no poverty. There is nobody running around bare feet unless you want to run around bare feet. The problem in some of these PNM areas is that the government is working with some of these criminals. That is the problem.
What facts you have?
Contract.
What facts you have to that? Back that up.
I ain't bringing no facts. Even if I had facts, I will not bring no facts to the table.
Well, you can't speculate. You can't speculate.
I will speculate. It's because I have freedom to do so.
Yeah, but how do you know that for a fact? I mean, it's easy to
No, I will speculate. I will speculate. And I will continue to speculate because Trinidad and Tobago is a very dangerous country. And I will continue to speculate. But let me continue. Let me continue. Now there's contract being distributed to some of these gang members within these communities. And it is inciting violence. It is not inciting togetherness. Because they're favoring some and they're not favoring the rest. Now it have a long history. It have a long history of that in Trinidad and Tobago where the government is going into some of these areas and giving them contract. This side of the road is upset with the other side of the road. Because some people would say it's poverty, but it's not poverty. If you're going to some of these areas in Trinidad and Tobago where you have high crime rate, when you go in the house, it's 50-inch flat screen TV, Mercedes-Benz park up in the garage, yeah? And all these different things. The outside may look a little sketchy, because a lot of them may be a little lackadaisical. You understand? They're not willing to do certain things. But I promise you, there is no such thing as poverty in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. So back to the original question here, Starks. The gangs. That's a major problem, right?
Yes.
Would the gangs drop their gang full activity to go and fill out the application in Petro Train or any one of these regular job opening? How do we deal with the gangs that is spiraling the crime?
Well, to be quite fair, by voting out the PNM, that's how we dealt with the gangs, you know. By voting out the PNM. Because remember, I keep telling you, every time the PNM in power, the crime rate always increased by over 200 plus persons. So that is where the gang come from.
Stocks, so you see how people calling me Jerry? I don't know what. I don't know what. Go ahead, Stocks.
That is where the gangs come from. And to prove what I'm saying is correct. This is how UNC is in power now, Jerry.
Oh Lord have mercy, Stocks. Why are you calling me Jerry?
Give the UNC 5 years. You will see the crime rate decrease. I promise you that. Come back to me in the next 5 years when the next general election coming around, and you will see the crime rate will drop by over 200 persons in Trinidad and Tobago. That will show you.
Let me do a disclaimer. Guys, my name is not Jerry. Okay? I'm Junior George. I don't know where Stocks get Jerry from. I am not Jerry. Okay, I don't know where Stocks get Jerry from. In fact, it is funny that you call me Jerry because I was interviewing Peter Wickham earlier, and Peter Wickham called me Jerry too. So I don't know what's going on. All right. So yes, you were saying I'm Stocks.
Right. So as you can see, under the UNC, the crime rate always managed to drop, and in the PNM, always managed to increase. That alone should show that something is wrong. The government is working with the people in some of these areas. It's causing conflict. and it's causing gang warfare in some of these areas. Yeah, they're not even willing to go into some of these areas and lock up some of these people. The last time Kamala did that, they started saying Kamala don't like black people. When she went in some of these PNM areas and some of them were getting locked up and all the different things, they started to say Kamala don't like black people. She want to lock them up. She want to put them in jail. She want to kill them. But how could we deal with crime? If we have areas that is infected with crime, how are we going to go into some of these areas? How are we going to do these things if we continue to bring race in everything that the UNC does? Not the UNC have a crime plan, you know, but every time they go into some of these criminal areas where have the biggest black populations, how are we going to deal with crime when we keep bringing race involved? Now, it's very hard for the UN to deal with crime when they keep bringing up these things.
Right. What about all leadership skill? Now, I was privy to have a long conversation. I remember me and Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar had a conversation that was for probably about over an hour. And we spoke about a range of different things. That was a few years ago. And a nice lady.
Very nice.
Right? Very nice lady. I had to say that. I mean, I was impressed. She was just down to earth, and we talk about all kind of different things. But let's talk about her leadership. Yes. Because a lot of people would always compare. Rowley did this, Kamala did this, Kamala 1.0 did this, and what is she going to do now? How do you feel about a leadership style compared to other prime ministers? Like, for instance, Rowley. Let's compare that. Her leadership style.
Now, to be quite frank, Rowley is the worst prime minister that ever passed through Trinidad and Tobago. That was said by UNC people, and that was said by PNM people. Now, the voting turnout for the PNM this year was over 100,000 plus short. Now, that shows to say PNM people never had the confidence. They just never had a reason to go and vote. Because normally, every election, the UNC does get 300,000 plus and up, and the PNM does get 300,000 plus and up, win or loss. But this time around, it was a whole 100,000 short of the previous election. That alone should show you that Rowley was the worst prime minister that ever passed Trinidad and Tobago. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, on the other hand, now, in her constituency, she gets the biggest voting turnout in the whole country. Her voting turnout is far bigger than any candidate representing in Trinidad and Tobago. She is most loved. You understand? She was always the person for the people. She always put the people first. Now, Kamala, there's not an area in Trinidad and Tobago where Kamala never walked. Kamala walked PNM areas. She walked UNC areas. On the other hand now, Rowley, I never one day see Rowley walk into an Indian community. Never. Giving out hampers, helping flood victims. I never one day see Rowley did that. Never one day. So we can't compare Kamala with Rowley. It's two different. It's two different pictures.
Now, a lot of people said, and will say, and in fact said, when I spoke to Peter Wickham earlier, and he said, Kamla Persad-Bissessar is the same Kamla Persad-Bissessar that lost 2 previous elections.
Yeah.
The people, the electorate of Trinidad and Tobago, rejected Kamla Persad-Bissessar twice.
Yeah.
Previous election. So that means that they didn't see that she had the leadership style and quality to be the prime minister in 2 previous elections, right? So here we are right now. Do you think that her strength increased, or was it a fact that the PNM popularity degraded itself to a far low that made Kamla Persad-Bissessar the best of the worst?
Now, Junior, we have to talk pertaining to Trinidad history of politics. Now, I am from a PNM area. I grew up as a PNM person. Parents, everybody, them voted PNM. Now, Santa Cruz, Lacano Santa Cruz, where I live, was basically dirt road, concrete type of dirt road. Yeah? And it was so for 15 years of PNM being in power. Kamala came into my community, built box drain, and paved the whole of Santa Cruz roads. Did you know what the people did? They went on the polls the next election and voted out Miss Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Kamala built 106 schools for the young people in this country. 60 of these 106 schools was abandoned under the PNM government. She built a hospital for the children to have a proper health care. It is abandoned today under the PNM. Now, let me go back to Trinidad history again. Now, you know Trinidad and Tobago split in half. Indians, and then we have... Right. We get that. Now, sometimes you looking in from the outside, you may think that the better politician is going to win. But Trinidad history doesn't show that. Trinidad history shows that people is vote on race. No matter what the UNC do in PNM area, they are going to vote on race. Let me say 80% of the population. And that's a fact. Nobody on this life can tell me that I am lying. 80% of the population just vote on race. It's just the last 20% they decide to say either they want the UNC or they want the PNM. So don't let Kamala lost the election twice be the reason why Kamala should step down. Because Trinidadians do not vote based on performance. We vote based on race. And that is a fact. It has always been so for the longest while. It's not like Grenada election where you might vote based on performance or something like that. It's nothing like that. The Indians are this way and black people are the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
But with that same train of thought, why did the population didn't change so drastically? There's still a divide of black and Indians. Same thing. Why did they reject her twice? And we're talking about the same electorate.
Well, we have a government that have been in power for the last 50-something years and have been doing corruption for the last 50-something years. Yeah? Now, we know popularity vote doesn't win an election.
Right.
America have shown that. But every election, the UNC has get over 50-something to 30-something thousand more votes than the PNM. Yeah? Now, for years, we have seen a history where it always looked like the UNC have won the election, but somehow PNM managed to win it. Now,
I see where you're going with that.
Brother, you know how corruption works in in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, not a Trinidadian, but I can tell you, corruption is very high in Trinidad and Tobago. Very, very high. So we can't base Kamala performance based on how people vote in this country. People are very biased. You will help people and they will vote against you.
Right. Right.
And that have been Trinidad history for the longest while. Anybody tell it different? Lying.
Right. Right. But it brings me back to my initial point. You said she built houses, she built this free laptop, all of this stuff.
Right.
She did.
All this stuff, brother, and PNM remove it. PNM remove all of that.
Right. But why did they not vote for her then?
But that's what I'm showing you, bro. People, I prove to show you people vote on race. People vote on race. Because if your children getting a laptop, wouldn't you vote for that? If every newborn baby getting $500 a month, wouldn't you vote for that? Come on. As poor people, we're supposed to vote for that. But guess what? These PNM people, they take everything Kamala had was to offer. Everything. And they voted her out. During the course at Christmas time, Kamala used to drop the prices of flour, sugar, oil around Christmas time. PNM never one day did that. And let me bring back the point. 2 months before Rowley retired, he raised his pay while in the process of telling the people, once you have more than 25,000 TT dollars, you cannot get pension. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
But get what? People still voted for Rowley and this government, although they were the enemy to poor people in this country. Make the rich richer, and then the rich will help the poor. That's not happening in Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, right. What lessons do you think that this new Kamla Persad-Bissessar administration 2.0 learned from the previous time in office?
What advice?
What lesson do you think that they learned or they will learn from 1.0 and 2.0?
In all fair, I am a supporter of the UNC.
Right.
But I think the UNC needs to develop a code. Now, we just say yellow is the code, but I know you should do that. Yellow is the code. But I think the UNC needs to develop a code where there needs to be a little more professional when they are doing business. Because in the UNC, there always seems to have some type of confusion amongst each other, where this type of make them look bad. But that doesn't take away their performance. Their performance is still there. But they always there's never really been no type of unity within the UNC. It's almost like a lot of people is fighting for power. Yeah. Kamala needs to pull up people aside and let them know there is a code. If there is a problem, we address it privately, we deal with it privately. So it doesn't make the party look bad. Because that made the party look bad the last time, but PNM didn't perform. Now, the last 5 years, the news article posted that PNM did less than half the promises that they promised people in 2020. Could you imagine that? How could you do less than half the promises that they promised the people? How? Kamala never failed in none of her promises yet, and she's not going to fail again.
Okay. Emailgate was. Do you think that was a learning experience?
Emailgate?
Yeah.
Junior, I don't want to call it Jerry. you know, I don't support corruption.
Right.
But you know what is my problem in this country? The both governments accuse each other of so many things, but nobody's been locked up. I have no problem with UNC ministers getting locked up, and I have no problem with PNM ministers being locked up when they get caught under corruption. But how come the UNC blaming the PNM and the PNM blaming the UNC, but nobody making jail? Why should we take this conversation serious, Jerry?
Oh Lord, I must see. Here you go again with the Jerry thing.
No, why should we take that conversation serious?
Right.
No, a lot of them would have advised you with the corruption that the UNC have done. A lot of them, PNM people, would have come to you and they would have educated you things what to talk about.
Listen, I am always in Trinidad. I have family in Trinidad.
Okay. I thought it was the hypocrites and them coming in the chat.
Nah, nobody had to tell me about Trinidad.
About email gates. You understand what I'm saying?
Nobody had to tell me about Trinidad politics.
Yes.
I am in Trinidad. I have family up in Chiguanas. I there all the time. I jump on a plane and I'm in Trinidad. Me and Ian, everybody. We hanging out. We hanging out. So I understand the dynamics at play in Trinidad. I follow the politics. My father was was strongly always in Trinidad, so I'm always there, right? But there's always this thing that you could learn. So moving forward, you know that, okay, well, this 2.0 is going to be an example. You'll learn a lot of things that improve your leadership in the next administration. You know, as I said,
I understand that the UNC is not a perfect party, but we cannot continue to allow government ministers to keep feeding us information without locking up individuals. Because if I commit crime, they're going to lock me up. If the poor man on the ground commit crime, they're going to lock them up. Why is that the PNM is blaming the UNC for certain things and they're not locking them up? Is it all political stunt?
Right.
Is it all propaganda? Why is nobody making jail? Politicians need to start to make jail, and that's what we want to see. I don't care if it's on the PNM side or the UNC side. Politicians need to start to make jail. Don't just accuse UNC of things. Lock them up. That is what we want to see, Jerry.
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry. Of course.
What Starks. Guys, you're chatting here with Starks.
In all fairness, am I right or am I right? In all fairness, we cannot just... It's like Deacon Mitchell talking about Keith Mitchell. But nobody being locked up, you know? Look at my thing that accused Keith Mitchell of. But nobody lock up Keith Mitchell.
Right.
People have to start to make jail. Politicians have to start to make jail.
Right. Let me give folks an opportunity to call in, guys. I don't want to be the only one with the questions. So you could call 718-701-5720. You could call on the live, on the WhatsApp, or you could call the direct line. Let's hear from you. Again, the number 718-701-5720. Speaking to Starks, who is a strong supporter of the UNC. If you don't know yet, well, you know. Very strong supporter of the UNC. And the UNC just took power in Trinidad and Tobago. I believe 26? 26 seats?
28.
28. Wow.
And still counting.
Okay.
And still clean sweep straight across the board.
Yeah. Okay. 28 seats and still counting. Right. And
the people voted for change.
Yeah. So 718-701-5720, guys, is the number if you want to call in. You could call and ask your question. Of course, be very respectful when you call. You know, we don't play that kind of disrespectful thing here. All right. What about the plans for improving healthcare? I'm asking that question like if you're the health minister, but I'm sure you have it, you understand it, and you have ideas and what was said on the campaign trail and stuff like that.
No,
Healthcare.
as I said, Junior, there's a children's hospital, a big hospital that is not being used currently. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, she built that hospital for the children, specifically for pregnant mothers and for children. You understand? Mothers have been losing their baby in Mount Hope General Hospital and in Port of Spain General Hospital. They have been losing babies because they don't have the proper system. Kamala built that building specifically for these people, and the PNM leave it abandoned for the last 9 years. That shows you that Kamala is concerned about the healthcare in this country. We have a prime minister. If it's that he heart beating 2 seconds less, he not going in Trinidad hospital. He going to foreign to check his heart. With all the comorbidities that the man have, he refuses to go in the hospital of Trinidad and Tobago because he don't know there is a big crisis in our hospitals in Trinidad and Tobago. Our healthcare system is falling. It was never like that under Miss Kamla Persad-Bissessar. It was very successful.
What about the business community? What about the business community? What kind of how would you describe the relationship with the business community and investors and the administration?
The investors always swing the UNC way because let me be real. The UNC is more dominated by the Indian population. Now the Indians own most groceries in this country, and let me be real. We're talking real talk here. Yeah, then own the largest percentage of the businesses in Trinidad and Tobago. So they're more on the UNC side. They prosper more on the UNC side rather than the PNM side.
I see.
Basically.
And I also saw that you and a few others was getting a lot of negative feedback based on your support because
of course they were saying that I am not the right person to try to get votes for people. Like they say they shouldn't use people like me to get votes because I don't have the capabilities of persuading people to vote for the UNC. They said that about Matara, they said that about MCW, they said about Swizzle Stickman, so many people, you understand? They say that they don't qualify and they don't have the ability to bring votes to the UNC. But this election proved them wrong.
Right.
Because all I was doing is just highlighting abandoned schools, highlighting government houses, highlighting bad roads. Do I have to be qualified for that?
Well, I heard they said that you guys were getting paid.
Junior, Junior, do you think that is a conversation that we should be having?
No, well I'm just throwing out that because I'm
asking you now.
Right.
Now, I'm asking you. Around election time, name some of the things that the government paid to advertise their product.
Well, they advertise on platforms. They have influencers that could send their story far and wide. But the
radio,
television,
news
internet
channel,
yeah.
You know?
Right.
So should we be having that conversation at this point in time?
Right. But no, it's different. It's a difference, you know. And I'm not asking it because I think anything is wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
If the administration or any administration wants to pay to get their word out, man, listen, I would take PNM money, I would take UNC money, I would take APP money, I'm taking all the money. I don't care. Me personally. But there's a difference with saying, okay, I would take this money, but I won't take that money.
Yeah.
Right? So is it a situation where and I probably shouldn't even ask that question. I'm in a wrong place to ask that question because I was accused of the same thing.
I know. I heard that conversation. I heard that.
Right. So that's not true. I'm a media company. I would take anybody. If NLP come, TNP come, GLP come, I'm a media platform. Right.
That's right.
So probably we shouldn't even go down that because as a media person, you have your position. You could take whatever position. Nobody will have to tell you who to support or who not to support. That is your prerogative that you do what you want to do. What I want to find out, Somebody asked me a question to ask you. If you see that side, but don't worry about it. Otherwise, the other question that somebody want to find out, we'll get up that pay thing because really and truly, when I really think about it, it don't make sense that we have this conversation in truth.
No, Junior, I could go further into that conversation. I could tell you what was the real problem with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, the real problem with that is not that people being paid. It was the type of people that was being paid. Now, PNM had a problem where they believe that the UNC is paying black people, in other words, the Indians, is paying black people to talk about the PNM. Now, the Prime Minister said that. He went on a platform and he said that they are paying black people to speak about black people.
Right.
Now, let me think for a second here. Now, that is a direct disrespect to the black community, because that shows to say that if we didn't get paid, we would never be smart enough to see the wrongdoings of the PNM. Not so? So that's a direct message of saying that we are dotish people, we foolish, we don't see. That's what the PNM government basically tell us in front of our face. So we're not supposed to know these things. The only reason why we know these things is because the Indian pay us to do so.
Yeah. Let's go to the phone line. We got a caller on the WhatsApp. Let's take this call right now. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the constituency of Barataria Sawa.
Barataria Sawa. Go ahead, sir.
I find that a lot of people asking him the questions online, and you yourself have posed the question to him too, if he was being paid. I find he dancing around with it and he ain't answering the question at all. And every time when they pose a question to him, he just divert and go to something else. He doesn't want to answer the question at all.
Let me answer the question. I didn't get paid.
Hold on, Stocks. He can't hear you because I put it on the WhatsApp, so you get to respond to him a little bit. Caller, go ahead, finish up your statement, and he'll respond to you.
Yeah, so every time they pose a question to this Mr. Stocks, he don't answer the question at all. He only dancing from answering the questions when they pose the questions to him. I'm watching in the comment section, and he keep on diverting and going to something else.
Right. So the question you want to ask him is if he getting paid.
Yeah, if you were, the question was, did you get paid? Yes or no?
Okay. All right. So listen to his response on the live. Okay. Listen to the response on the live.
Okay then.
Right. Okay. All right. Did you get paid? Yes or no?
Let me answer this question. No, I didn't get paid.
Okay. All right.
Let me tell you something, Junior.
Yeah.
You see, when people playing stupid, I will also play stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Because they believe that if they ask me that question, that's going to bring me down. Yeah? That's going to make me put my tail between my legs. So here's what. You playing stupid, I can play stupid too. No, I didn't get paid.
Okay.
Next caller.
Next caller. 718-701-5720, guys.
Next caller.
Waiting for the call to come. 718-701-5720.
Because let me tell you something, he not concerned about who PNM paying, He not concerned about that.
But the real thing is, Stocks, as I said, I don't even think that's a big deal.
But
right?
It's not.
Yeah, because
PNM believe in slavery. Brother, this is proof to show PNM believe in slavery. PNM believe that we should do things for free. You understand what I'm saying? They don't believe people should get paid or a raise in pay. They believe that they alone should get a raise in pay. But that's what the man said. The man said he's going to make the rich richer, and then the rich is going to help the poor. These are statements of the PNM. He hear that? That caller who talk that talk there, did he hear that? I remember when $1 million is alleged, $1 million was sent to Rowdy brother by accident. Junior, could you send, you as a minister, you as a prime minister, would you send $1 million to your brother by accident? How your brother, where your brother name do you on that list? Huh?
I'm trying to figure
out about them thing and them.
I'm trying to figure out how $1 million leave the treasury and go to somebody by accident when there's supposed to be so much oversight. Because a minister can't just walk into the treasury and say, give me $1 million.
Don't forget, Junior, because of COVID-19, where a helicopter was creeping away, going up the highway. Don't forget that. Nobody knows where the helicopter come from, where it was going. You understand?
Okay. 718-701-5720, guys. We're talking to Stocks. Your opportunity to ask a question. You have about another 5 minutes or so. If you want to call in, the number you could call on WhatsApp or on the direct line is 718-701-5720.
Because these are the conversations that PNM people let's have. Instead of they speak about crime, they prefer to speak about who is getting paid. Yeah? Instead of they speak about jobs, they prefer to speak about how I ugly. Yeah? Instead of they speak about bad roads, they prefer to speak about me. I'm to speak about who's paying me. What about the bad roads? If that caller was a constructive caller, that caller would have come and say, here's what we need to fix the roads in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a pitch lake here, and it's like we have the worst roads in the Caribbean. We have a pitch lake here. We didn't manufacture pitch here. PNM have a history of closing down everything. PNM closed down the train. The trains that we had running in Trinidad and Tobago, PNM closed it down. The sugarcane factory, PNM closed it down. Petrotrin, PNM closed it down. They just closed down all our assets. Just imagine, bro, we had to go quite Ghana. We had to go Ghana to buy yam.
Right.
Why should we have to go quite to buy yam?
Yeah. All right, we got another caller on the line. Let's take that call, Stocks. Caller, you live? Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Florida. All I want to say is that whether they give Kamala another 5 years or just going to give her this 5 years when she build back up the country, right? And then that's it. PNM comes back and ruin the country again. Because it seems like that's happening for the last 25 years.
Yep.
Right. Well,
I'm calling you from Florida.
Florida, big up yourself. Thanks for watching, all right? What part of Florida?
Kissimmee.
Oh, okay, Kissimmee. All right, good. Big up yourself, Florida. Thanks for calling, all right? Say hi to Stocks.
Thank you.
That caller is so true, Jerry. That caller is
Good
very,
work, man. Good work.
Stocks, he could hear you. He could hear you because you're going to the phone line. You could talk with him, yeah? Stocks, you were saying something? Caller, Stocks, you hearing him?
Yeah, I'm hearing him. Let him talk.
Caller, go ahead.
No, I don't think he's hearing.
Yeah, he's hearing you. Go ahead, caller.
Stocks.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, man. But as I told him already, my question is that would they give her 10 years or do the same thing like what they did?
That is a good question.
Right. Well, let's put it like this. If she, I think every election cycle is a referendum to go back and ask the people, how was my job performance? Rate me. If I did good, then give me another 5 years. If I didn't, then get me out of here. So,
but that is not how people work. That's not how people work. That's not how people vote, as I would say. People don't vote like that. People vote on race in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
That is not how people, because Kamala dropped the crime rate in 5 years by 250 plus persons. And then PNM come back in power. It started to increase immediately. From 400 and something to 600 and something.
Right.
And then now they are saying, keep the PNM in power. Why?
Stock, do you think that this loss, that I'm sure hurt the PNM a lot because they lost a couple seats that was some safe seats there.
Yes.
We saw today that, of course, the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, he resigned, and he officially resigned as the party political leader as well. We saw that Stuart Young resigned as the chairman of the party, happened today, and we saw a new political leader, an opposition leader, announced just a little before I got on air. Yes, the choice for opposition leader, another female. Women are large and in charge in Trinidad. Do you think that is a good time to rest in the opposition for the PNM, or is a time that the UNC would really get a chance to go through probably 10 years before they ever think about leaving the leadership of the country? What do you think?
No, I just vote based on crime. based on crime. I just vote, if a government manages to decrease crime, I will continue to vote for them. Because my safety is number one priority. Let us be real here. If a government have no crime plan, have no way of decreasing crime, I don't care what any other thing is. If a government don't have a crime plan, I cannot vote for you. Because the last time PNM was in power, the power for 10 years straight, they come back again, they was in power for 10 years straight. And every time they come in power, more people die than ever before. So I don't think they should give back PNM a chance in this country for a very, very long time.
Right.
Due to the amount of people that's lost their life in the process.
Yeah. I'm just reading something here that just came to the wire that my producer is giving me to put up on the screen. Take this call and then I'll put it up. Caller, live, where you calling us from? Hello? Caller? Oh, that person obviously hung up the phone. Yeah, so the new political leader of the opposition was announced just a short while ago of the PNM. As we said earlier, the party chairman, Stuart Young, resigned, sent in his resignation today. And that's where we are right now in the political structure of Trinidad and Tobago. We got a caller on the phone line right now. Caller on the phone line, go right ahead.
Hi, Junior. Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
Greetings to your panel, Mr. Elimas Gilbert, the inspector here.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I want to say that I love Trinidad. I admire Trinidad culture. As a culture man myself, I just always tell people, if you never experience Trinidad Carnival, you do experience a carnival. I used to be in Sawa, I used to be in Moses Avenue in Williams Monroe House, all about the place. When I was a little boy, I heard a lot about borrows. And as we know, Trinidad have a problem with crime. I follow Trinidad a lot. I follow the election. I follow everything. And something telling me Alexander will make a difference. And I didn't hear him mention anything about Alexander. I just want to ask him what he thinks. I don't say him as he could be the police commissioner. But because Alexander on the street, and that's where he used to be before, when I say that, in the police. So I just want to ask him what he thinks about Alexander and to make Trinidad a safer place. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Specky.
Well, Alexander already started. What is Alexander plan? As far as what I know, that they have posted a video with some of the plans that they plan to bring forward to bring safety to Trinidad and Tobago and his constituency, Tunapuna, is that he said he wanted to bring in technology like, these cameras, what could just look at a number plate and detect if it's that to see if you have your license or not registered and all these different things. And even Kamla said she wanted to give the people more legal firearm. So if anybody comes in your house, you have legal firearms to protect yourself and all these different things.
That's
legal firearm is a touchy conversation. But I think it's something that a lot of people need, because while we may think otherwise, people are dying out here.
Yeah,
a lot of home invasions.
That is a very controversial topic, and I think that is a whole debate that needs to be had, because I've heard the debate even in the United States where they say the only thing that stops a bad criminal with a gun is a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun, right? I understand that debate, but the thing about it is, do you really think that in a crime-fested, I don't want to put it like that, but in a heavily crime area country like Trinidad and Tobago, more guns is the answer to crime?
Well, Jerry, Junior, my life is number one priority.
Right.
If I'm in a position and I know my life is in danger, or my life could be in danger, and I could apply for a legal firearm to protect myself at home, I would do so. I know that we are infected with crime right now, but my life is the most important thing in this face of the planet, of the earth. Yeah? a lot of people will kick against it, but they may not be in a position where crime affects them. There's businessmen out here. Yeah? There are people that just have a lot. There are people that living in places where you can just go in and do whatever you want without any type of safety, any type of security. Now, a lot of these areas in Trinidad and Tobago infected with crime. Nobody wants to go in them areas. We're talking about the safe communities, but much safer, where bandits leaving from the dangerous community to go in the safe community to commit crime, to do home invasions. Yeah? Now, we may stand against that law, but we are already in a dangerous community. Nobody not coming in our house to do home invasion because nobody not leaving from outer area to come in your area to do anything because your area is so bad that nobody wants to come in this area. But what about these peaceful areas where people live in certain bad areas to go in these areas to do home invasion, to rob these people, kidnap them, go in the house, kill the children? We may stand against it, but people are dying out here.
Yeah, but again, that's a very, very...
Yes, it is. We might never reach the end of it.
Right.
But if you come in my house, come to my window, break down my door, and I have a legal firearm, I'm going to knock it on you. And I'm not going to knock it again.
Well, that could also mean, and people might even view it like, okay, it seems like your take on crime is just to give up on it and say, you know what, we no longer could fight.
No, that's the PNM. That's the PNM.
Okay, so the idea is we no longer could fight against getting the guns off the street. We're going to put more guns on the street.
That is the PNM. Remember, PNM never decreased crime. Crime always increased on them. So what you're telling me here now is what the PNM believe.
Right, but no, you said, right? You said that the administration believe that putting more guns in the legal firearms I'm talking about. But legal firearms could be just as illegal firearms in the space of 2 seconds. Somebody go in your house, take your gun, now it becomes an illegal firearm. So festering and putting more guns on the street is not necessarily the solvent or the idea to solve the crime. It is saying that, you know what, I give up on the gun, but on fighting firearm to get it off the street. I'm going to put more on the street to deal with what's already on the street. It's a proliferation of ammunition, just like the countries that may have nuclear bombs. And this one say, okay, well, if you have nuclear bombs, I'm going to have nuclear bombs. Then everybody on the block would have a firearm because everybody say, well, this one have one, that one have one, that one have one, that one have one. Everybody have a firearm.
Well, therefore, you have to be qualified for these things, right?
Right. Yeah. But that's
another thing is that we have to go back to the history of the UNC. The UNC have always decreased crime. Yes, it will be a lot of guns on the streets, but the UNC have always managed to decrease crime. So therefore, although they may be granted these legal firearms, there might be no use of it if it's that UNC still works out a plan to deal with crime, just like what they have done in the past. I told you 250 persons less died when the UNC was in power. So therefore, even if people had legal firearm, it was not being used under the Kamla Persad-Bissessar leadership.
Well, again,
the problem with the PNM is that the PNM stand against that law. The only reason why they stand against that law is because they had no crime plan. And putting guns on the street is going to make it even more worse. The UNC do have a crime plan. And that's the difference.
Right.
That is the difference.
Okay. All right, let's talk. Thank you so much, man, for joining us and chatting about the party that you support. And congratulations and best of luck going forward. I probably want to have you back to have a real strong debate on this crime plan because I do see potential problem. Me personally, looking in and see how this could basically pan out. Because the thing about it is, we are neighboring islands. You have Trinidad, you have Grenada. Guns pass through this area. Next thing you find out, a firearm gets into Grenada, gets into to Carriacou, where just a couple of years ago we had some guys from Tobago that came in and robbed a bank in Carriacou and took a boat and go back.
Yes, I remember that.
We do have this situation where neighboring islands could also be affected. But before we wrap up and get your last point of view, let's get this last caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to ask the young man, what do you think is the basis of crime? What causes crime? Is it more guns? Is it one individual? Is it a political party? Or is it the people in the community who are creating or who are participating in the crime? Because you have to go to the fundamental, the foundation of what caused crime in order to solve it. And it's not more violence and more police. So I'd like to hear his view on it.
Right. Thank you, caller. Okay, we lost stocks there, boy. Somebody probably called stocks. 7187. Thank you, caller. We appreciate your input on this. You guys are watching right along live. Where open discussion on everything. Okay, stocks is back. Stocks, you there? Stocks, you there? I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. Yeah, oh, he's not hearing me. All right, Stock's gonna sort out his stuff over there, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So I was saying, Right Along Live is a platform where, Right Along Live is a platform where everyone has a story to tell. Just like how we had this conversation and we're having this conversation with Stocks today. We always open the platform to get different perspective as well. All right. So this is how we operate here on Right Along Live. Stocks, you hearing me? Stocks, are you hearing me? Oh, you haven't problem hearing me again. Right. So we open the platform for everyone to share their views and to talk about things that affects the Caribbean and will affect the Caribbean. I believe that the conversation about putting more guns is something that needs to be debated, but not only from a Trinidad perspective. Remember, we are a small group of islands. Anything happen in Trinidad today is 25 minutes from Trinidad to Grenada or to any one of the Caribbean islands. Barbados is right there, St. Vincent right there, and all of these guns, not manufactured in the Caribbean, but coming in from the US. It comes down to the question of not who has a gun, it's ultimately who have a bigger gun, right? Because we see firearms that essentially are called like police killers. Even if those police officers may have bulletproof vests, doesn't help, right? So it's not about who has a gun. It comes down to who has a bigger gun than the other person. We got a caller on the line. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from? Yes. Hold on. Let me bring down my audio here. Caller, go right ahead. You're live. Right along live. Caller.
Hey, Junior.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I like to say is that Trinidad is always a strong place, and Trinidad is always, for a lot of years, and still is a number one place in the Caribbean.
Right.
And even we as the other islands around, we cannot let Trinidad go down like that. We on the other islands, we have a lot of family in Trinidad that makes up Trinidad. But what I say is that what causes crime in any area is also is lack of employment. Because remember, a man had to feed his family. He had 2 children. He lost his job, and then a youth man like that who he didn't want to do that. Some of them, a lot of these youth and them today, they are 16 and 7 subjects, 10 subjects, 5 subjects, and they want to do something very important in life, but they don't have a job. They have no employment. At the end of the day, you have to remember that every mouth have to be fed. And sometimes even the man that who is well grounded and well family oriented for years, he had to step out on the street and do something he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes it comes down from government not providing employment and outcome for the youth and them. Because remember now, if you check about in Europe and in America, I mean the whole Caribbean, right? The generation have changed immensely. You have a lot of more young people now, them on social media, AI, and them ain't going to know set a lot of my time to say, well, like we planting a set of banana and dashing and all kind of thing. I mean, that's still happening, but it ain't happening on the scale with these young people. They want technology and they want to be in some place of importance to take care of the children and the family and modern help out have a better living with housing and jobs and stuff like that. And once you find that once that is not happening in any country, not only Trinidad and Tobago, in any country,
right?
We see that even in America too. Yeah, some people get lost in the road. You see some people living on the subway and wonder, boy, oh God, how that man end up there?
Yes.
And when you check that man, have a PhD, have a bachelor's degree, but how you end up there, something happened. So the government of Trinidad and Tobago have to, because still Trinidad and Tobago is still one of the most powerful islands in the Caribbean. We can't afford to let that go down, and Trinidad has got to step up and forget the race thing and things like that. All right. Good night.
Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate you so much. Thanks again. We got a caller on the WhatsApp. Let's go to the caller on the WhatsApp. Call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Yes, good night. Calling back from Barataria Sawa again.
Yes.
Now, what I'm saying is that stocks may not be able to answer all the questions we maybe have to ask. First, to begin with that whole situation there with people having guns at home and everything, to yes, you could have your permit, you could go through the normal work and sign up and get your firearm, your licensed firearm at home. But when somebody invade your home, how will you know when they come in to invade your home, or when you know they reach close at you to pull your firearm? These things could turn out because you're hearing right now in Trinidad and Tobago and plenty people know for a fact that look at how much security firms they get their firearm taken from them, and they sell it over to somebody else end up with the firearm. So who tell you that the same cannot happen for somebody who has a firearm at home? They could get a firearm taken from home too.
Yeah.
And it end up into the wrong hands as well too. And so crime begin. Nobody could know when their time is going to be ended or up. We don't have a chip. We don't track nobody. We cannot say, well, all right, will we know when this one is going to die tonight, tomorrow night? Nobody knows. It can happen at any given time.
Yeah, you're right.
And that is the whole thing about it. So no government could actually step into power and say, well, we have a control over crime. Yes, they might have a slight dent and a little impact into it. But come on. But all I want to say is that all what this government is, who is now selected, all what they say on the platform, trust me, and God knows it all. I hope they live up to what they say on the platform and perform and give the people and them what they say they're going to give to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, caller. Appreciate you. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got another call. Let's take this other call. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Grenada, Junior. How are you?
Grenada, go right ahead. I'm doing great.
For most young people, getting a job is one, but I think the salary coming too slow for them. So they're looking for quick money. So they do what you want, say what you want. Is the drugs, to me, is a quicker money. And in so doing, the drugs come with a gun, it come with death, it come with murder, it come with everything. If I cannot get you, I will have to get your family. So to me, the working, yes, a lot of young people want to work, but the majority of young men, they don't want because the money is coming too slow.
Yeah.
So we want quick money.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, that's it. I don't have to be right, but I believe.
Yeah, no, you have a good point, caller, and that's what one of the questions I asked earlier. We have to find a way to infiltrate the young people who feel like a 9 to 5. Getting that weekly salary is just not sufficient.
Yeah, it's too long.
And some of them get so inducted into that quick money. Are they really going to stop what they're doing and go and get a job that they have to do physical labor and get, you know?
And then you're not even hearing about the big pusher men. It's the little boys they use.
The little boys, yeah, exactly.
So yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
It's sad. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, we're going to have a big debate on this topic right here. Very important conversation. As we said earlier, that the Penelope Beckles-Robinson has been elected opposition leader of the PNM, and that's right after the loss at the poll for the PNM, winning about 10 seats or so in the recently concluded Trinidad and Tobago election. The new opposition leader there again is Miss Penelope Beckles-Robinson. And we're going to be learning much more about Penelope Beckles-Robinson on the international front. Our team has already started, getting contacts so we could get on the program. Let's talk about her perspective or her views and basically introducing her to our global audience right here, because I know a lot of people outside of Trinidad may know very little about Miss Penelope Beckles Robinson. So we're going to be you're going to be a vehicle to get that information across. All right. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our audience today. We appreciate you. And Ride Along Live, guys, let me get this off the screen there. Ride Along Live is the platform to bring you world information, news, and a whole lot more. Yesterday, we dived deeply into what's happening to Guyana, and we got calls today from even the government of Guyana because they too want to have an opportunity to voice their concern on some of the articulation from yesterday's program. Today, we're dealing with what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, the newly minted political leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Bissessar 2.0, and her alignment. We heard earlier that Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State in the United States under the Trump administration, has confirmed the alignment or the relationship, closely working relationship with the administration. A lot of people say, well, that is bad news all the way around. Some people say not necessarily, because Trinidad and Tobago have to affiliate itself with the bigger source markets, right? And how that would play in, it might be good. Let's wait and see how that works out, right? But we did get endorsement from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, congratulating the newly elected Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamala Persad-Bissessar. We're going to keep following that as well. All right. Thanks for being a part of our program, and thanks to all of our sponsors who make this program possible on a daily basis. We got to say thank you to the Ride. This is our sister company, guys, Ride Grenada, providing tuk-tuk service. Yeah, tuk-tuk service exclusive. The only one on the island to provide tuk-tuk excursions and tours. So if you're ever in Grenada, guys, if you're coming in from Trinidad and you want to check out our tuk-tuk excursions and tours, you go to ride.gd. Yeah, ride.gd, RYDE.gd, and book. Not only tuk-tuk service, we also provide water bikes, and a whole lot more. Also, if you're getting married and you want a tuk-tuk for that particular event, you're getting married in the Spice and you want a tuk-tuk to be your fleet of vehicles, give us a call. The number that you call is 422-1011. That's 422-1011. Or check out ride.gd. Yeah, that's ride.gd. Yeah. Also, guys, Ride e-bike excursions and tours. You can check that out as well while you ride. Talking about the ride, we got to say thanks to JetBlue, riding you down from JFK to Grenada and the Caribbean. JetBlue.com. That's JetBlue.com. Check them out. Is the blue, is the blue, is the blue, is the blue. JetBlue. Also, we got to thank and pick up the GTA, Grenada Tourism Authority. Thank you so much for your continued support to this platform. We appreciate you. Also, big up to the National Lotteries Authority. Grenada, the National Lotteries Authority. Yeah, big up to the NLA. All right. Also, Beacon Insurance, guys. Beacon Insurance. Let me tell you more about Beacon Insurance, guys.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Promoter Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Promoter Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit Beacon.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, up, up several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Worldwide, feel the beat.
Again, thank you guys for being a part of our program Right Along Live. Don't forget, if you want to advertise, give us a call. The most viewed platform, the entire Caribbean, guys, straight across the islands, on the world, Right Along Live. Catch you guys tomorrow. Good night.
Join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island, strong with the host, we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island, strong with the host, we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride is sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island, strong with the host, we belong.